Mr. Speaker, now that the opportunity has been given to a Vice Chancellor, maybe this would be the opportunity to answer a question that you had asked to Madam PS, but was glossed over. Mr. Speaker, you had asked, is there a disconnect between what the ministry is saying and what the universities are doing? And even on that, Mr. Speaker, the channels of communication, is it all being left to be communicated by the President, where the minister, the PS, the HELB, and all other people who attend to these issues in the Ministry of Education are mute to a point where you have had to call a Kamukunji to explain it to members of parliament. These members of parliament are good consumers of media. They are very well versed with what is happening on the ground, but they still do not understand this funding model, Mr. Speaker, meaning that the communication that we are being given here today is not trickling down to the ground. We are being told that they are using a multi-channel approach, which includes, I don't know, digital media, social media, and other medias. Mr. Speaker, the point is that all that has been said prior to today has not communicated to the publics in the way that it should. So now, could the Vice Chancellor tell us, are the Vice Chancellors sabotaging the communication? Are they part of the problem, or are they part of the solution that we are seeking, Mr. Speaker? Thank you very much. And this is in terms with the flow of communication. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Vice Chancellor, who do you want to inform?
Mr. Speaker, I would want to inform my brother, Honorable KJ.
He's over the floor.
It's a very important point, Mr. Speaker.
Go ahead.
Last week on Saturday, the good professor of Embu. Yes. No.
Mr. Speaker.
Can I, Mr. Speaker?
I hope you are not attempting to answer for him.
No. I'm just informing that Professor Mugendi, I had an occasion in my constituency where a team from Embu University came to the function to communicate to the function which I had about the university funding model. Mr. Speaker, I'm not trying to protect Professor Mugendi in any way.
Order. Take your seat. Order. Take your seat, please. Take your seat.
I do not want to be informed. Find him out of order.
Honorable Ruku. Order. Honorable Ruku, when I last checked, you are not a Vice Chancellor. Vice Chancellor, can you respond to those concerns?
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker and Honorable Members. I have two issues that I've been asked to respond on. The first one was on the issue of if the students come to our universities and they have not been able to pay the household component, whether we allow them to continue standing. And I want to answer in the affirmative, yes. And we have said that there is no student who should be turned away because they have not been able to pay the full household component. Every university has a mechanism that we have put in place to ensure that students will be able to pay the household component as they stand. And many of us, the arrangements that are in place is that if they're able to keep paying something small, then they continue doing it, so that by the time we get to the end of the semester and we are about to do the exam, then they should have finished paying. So I want to say that we have communicated very clearly. We have communicated very clearly that to the VCs that they shouldn't be turning away the students.
Yes,
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
It's a point of order, is it?
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
I think it is wrong for Professor to come to this house and claim that there is proper communication. The elephant in the room, Mr. Speaker, is communication. We have so many forums of communication.
Point of
We
information,
look up to
Speaker.
them, Mr. Speaker, as the epitome of knowledge in terms of communication. They have those courses in their degrees. Mr. Speaker, a simple communication through the X has not been expressed by these institutions. That's why we are here right now today, Mr. Speaker, carrying so many cards for Harambes because of communication. That's number one, Mr. Speaker. Number two, Mr. Speaker, there is a trust deficit on the system. We have not heard to what extent does this data is being unbundled through the system and how much is a human intervention. That's why you have a problem that people who are supposed to be in bundle 1, they are now in bundle 4 and 5. Mr. Speaker, I think before the Chancellor's communication, I think you need to address the clear forums of communication, because that's why we are here. We are not able to communicate to our people on the ground on this issue. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
So, Vice Chancellor, what you are telling the members of Parliament here is that no student will be turned away on reporting day 1 for the simple reason that they have not been able to marshal accommodation fees, but they can pay along the way. Is that what you are telling the House?
Mr. Speaker, sir, the issue of accommodation is different because, as you know, accommodation is linked from registration, and actually most of the accommodation providers are private people. But in terms of fees, that's what I'm saying, the household contribution, which we've been talking about, either the 5% in band 1, or the 10% in band 2, or the 20% in band 3, that is what I'm talking about, because that's the fees that comes to the university. There is no student who should be chased away because they have not paid household component.
Use the word will, not shall.
Let them answer the other questions.
They have answered.
Yes.
Point of
They have
information.
only responded to Oundo's question. There was one from Dawood, from Pareyo, and from the member for Nyatike.
Yes, sir.
Okay, go on.
Yes, Honorable Mr. Speaker, sir. The other question was on the issue of communication and what we are doing as Vice Chancellors to ensure that we are communicating this message to our stakeholders. And I want to say that, yes, the message is a process. And that's why we are here today talking about the student-centered model or the new funding model. I'm sure members of Parliament have even seen our peers in media houses. They have seen some of our officers in these state agencies, in our state agencies, and also some of our vice chancellors in media houses communicating about this new funding model. I want to say it's a process. It is something that is ongoing. What we have agreed as vice chancellors is that we are going to adopt constituencies that are in the universities where, the counties where our universities are located. And we've already liaised with some of you MPs, and I think honorable members of Parliament, and I'm sure you know it. And we have said that we want to be accompanying you when you have your public embarrassers, when you are meeting with your stakeholders, so that we can be able to talk about the new funding model. And I'm sure it is on that breath that Honorable Rocco was trying to clarify that last week in a function that he was involved in, I did send a team to be able to do that. The other issue, Mr. Speaker, sir, is that also as a vice chancellor.
Yes, hold on, Wamishomba, what is
Mr. Speaker,
agitating you?
Mr. Speaker, I'm quite agitated because it looks like we are wasting our time. We've been here since morning wanting to get clarity serious information from people who are expected to disseminate information. If this is the style the honorable professor is using to disseminate information to us, what about the students who have no patience with him? We are wasting our time, Mr. Speaker. I think it is high time we acknowledge that this system is quite a mess. We must go back to the drawing board. We are wasting the life and the future of our children, and these people who are entrusted with information dissemination should be fired with immediate effect because they are doing a lot of nothing to our country.
Yes, Professor. Professor, let's hear the professor first.
Professor has finished.
McClap, what is the problem?
Mr. Speaker, we are not interested in those stories of the professor. Mr. Speaker, what is very important to communicate to the country? Solution, if we want to sort out Kenya, today and now, Mr. Speaker, make a pronouncement to the cabinet secretary or the president to make a pronouncement to the children of Kenya that they all report to the university and do the necessary documentation. The documentation can be done in the university, the accommodation can be sorted out, Mr. Speaker. Two, Mr. Speaker, make the ministry, the minister, or the president of the Republic of Kenya, make a pronouncement to the people of Kenya, the children of Kenya, that all certificates of students joining to university be released unconditionally, because those certificates, national examination, the government paid for examination fee in Kenya. And therefore, they have no relationship with payment arrears of fees in Kenya, Mr. Speaker. They were all paid in Kenya. Those two pronouncements, Mr. Speaker, sorts out Kenya immediately.
Professor, can you finish up? Order, let's hear the professor. Hold on, KJ. You raised an issue, let him respond. That's why he's on his feet. Let him respond.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker and the members. I think we have communicated that it's a process. Honorable Member KJ, you raised the issue of communication, and that is what I'm addressing. And I'm saying communication is a process. All of you have even heard His Excellency the President talk about the new funding model, but I think it's a process, and that's we are engaging in that process, and that's why I was saying, as Vice Chancellors, we have a strategy, because we have said we will start with our students, our staff members, our senates, our unions, and then we also go to the populations using the MCAs, the members of parliament, so that then we can be able to get this information to the population. Thank you.
Point of order, Speaker. Point of order, Speaker.
Honorable.
Let's finish those four. Order, honorable members. The good Vice Chancellor has said that they will try. It's sufficient. Whether it's sufficient or not, it is you to judge. But what we have told the PS and her team, that even with this very good model, the deficiency has been communication. It is now that we are hearing that even children who don't have money should go and report. Those with distorted data should go and correct at the universities. This is something that we didn't need a Kamkunji to be told if it was communicated out there. So PS and your team, when you go up there, upscale your level of communication. And Vice Chancellor, you know, there are some constituencies like Turkana North that have no university. So if you are going to limit yourself to going to the county where the university is domiciled, then you disadvantage constituencies that don't have universities. Find a way, and this parliament will assist you. That's why I brought you here. We have the chairman of education here. If you have any message that requires to go to the public nationally, pass it on to the chairman of the committee. I'll give him free airtime in parliament to communicate to the public so that they can be able to get what you are doing. Secondly, you have taxpayers' money. You employ people to do communication in your ministries. Ask them to do this so that the public can get to know. Because the problem we're having is just lack of adequate or no communication at all.
Mr. Speaker.
Let's hear the other answers first.
Honorable Chair, Honorable Speaker.
Member for Molo, hold your horses.
Honorable Speaker, thank you very much for the opportunity. Allow me to also respond to the question that was raised by Honorable Dawood regarding the accommodation fees and to say that some universities run a needy kitty, and such universities are supporting students with challenges in accommodation. They are also prioritizing them for student accommodation within the hostels. Allow me, Honorable Speaker, to invite Monari to respond to the question raised by Honorable Parey and
Point of order,
Mizuki.
Speaker. Point of order, Speaker.
Yes, Dawood.
PS has just talked about needy students being given accommodation, but we are saying that they should be enrolled and accommodated so that they are not sent. There is no point in enrolling a student going to university and he doesn't have anywhere to sleep. Will he sleep on the streets?
Honorable Speaker, Mr. Nzuki will respond to the question on family structure by Honorable Shimba, and then the VC for Laikipia University, Honorable Professor Rotich, will respond to...
Before that, Madam PS, why can you consider, because if this boom that comes slightly later than the admission is part of the money the students will use for accommodation, why can't you direct the vice chancellors to liaise with accommodation providers and give them an undertaking that we will pay this boom at this particular time, let in the students? You can even have a way of paying some of the boom for accommodation directly to the providers so that the children are not thrown out of school. Why don't you have that kind of arrangement?
Honorable Speaker, I am under your advice, and we shall work on this proposal with the Vice Chancellors, on this directive with the Vice Chancellors. I will...
Just hold on. Bwana Vice Chancellor, will you consider telling, you are the chairman, right? Yes. Of the Vice Chancellors. We would advise that you communicate with your colleagues, because the boom you are going to pay will go towards accommodation. You already said that it's private enterprise that provides accommodation, but the money will still come from the boom. Can you organize to allow students to report, have the accommodation available, on the undertaking from the university that boom is coming and accommodation will be paid so that education goes on uninterrupted?
Okay. Obliged, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
So,
Mr. Speaker, there's a challenge. No, it is important, Mr. Speaker. You know, it's important to say the truth. The truth of the matter is that this boom goes directly to the student account. Now, the five chancellors, they must find a way of enforcing the students once they receive this money in their personal account, that they are able to transmit that money in a way, I don't know how, to the five chancellors so that they can arrange the arrangement.
Point of order, Chair.
Mr. Speaker,
Honorable Ruku,
on the same point.
Honorable members, what we have suggested, Honorable Ruku, is that they find a mechanism of giving a promissory note, to the landlords, that these students will get money from us. And when they get, they will pay. If they don't pay, they will be locked out.
Mr. Speaker, 1 minute, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker,
Article 27, Mr. Speaker, Article 27 of our Constitution talks about equality and freedom from discrimination.
So who is being discriminated here?
The student.
How?
The money still goes to the student.
I'm not in the point of the money for now. My point is the entire model or the financing model which we are trying to panel beat here, Mr. Speaker. The managers, the university managers, have ensured that students from the very remote areas, very remote constituencies are discriminated. In my constituency, Mr. Speaker, there are sections where there is no mobile network. In my constituency, Mr. Speaker, there are students with no mobile phone or computers which can be used to, or internet, which can be used to make these applications. What I'm trying to say, Mr. Speaker, is that...
Point of order. Mr. Speaker, point of order.
We want a way forward, Mr. Speaker. We want
Point
a
of
way
order,
forward.
Mr.
We
Speaker.
came here for Kamukuji
What
because
I'm
we
trying
want
to
a way
say-
forward.
Mr. Speaker, can I be protected? Can I be protected, Mr. Speaker?
No, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, surely.
Way forward. We want a way forward.
We have been doing so well until the member from Beren not arrived.
Mike, please.
We've been doing so well until the member from Beren not arrived. First, by attempting to defend vice chancellors, and secondly, interjecting to say things that were not relevant to what we are discussing. PS, can you go on and finish? After the PS, I'll take one round, then we close.
Honorable Speaker, I will invite Mr. Monari to respond to the two questions, one by Honorable Pare and the other by Honorable Ruku, and Zuki to respond to the question by Honorable Shimba, and the VC for Laikipia, Professor Rotich, to respond to the issue of can we make university education free? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. On the issue of appeals, which was asked by Honorable Undo, from the date of application, we want to promise that within 3 weeks, we shall be able to process the appeals, and 3 weeks from the date of application. So if a student applies from today, we shall process within 3 weeks. So we urge the students to apply as soon as possible so that we can process them and they can get their money. On the issue of lack of network and electricity, that is why we have given a commitment that these students can be able to report to the universities where they can be able to access the facilities to apply. No student will be left behind, and we ensure that the students, and we have staff there who can be able to guide these students from far-flung areas so that all the students can be able to apply. And that is an assurance that we want to give the honorable members. On the issue of the prolonged allowance to apply until December 31st, this is in the spirit of ensuring that no student is left behind also, because it will allow students who did not have a chance to apply or who did not have the necessary documentation to apply a chance to be able to apply within reasonable time. Thank you.
The next.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. On the matter of the MTI being able to accommodate the family, different family sizes and the various components that constitutes a family, of course, the family structure parameter is a big one which considers single parenthood, orphans, children, and of course, the size of the family is considered. How does it play out? Through the NEMIS and universities and TVES ecosystem, we are able to establish the family size of where the applicant is coming in terms of those people who are engaged in the education sector, and then we derive from the income that has been declared, we get a per capita. So we divide the income that has been declared by the number of persons to get the per capita, which of course will not then disadvantage guys from large families. Nevertheless, we have said those children who are coming from disadvantaged families and they have been supported through school, the platform allows them to say that they were supported through school, and there is evidence by attachment of sponsorship letters or recommendation by the chiefs, and that puts them to an affirmative action straight away in terms of 100% support. Thank you.
Okay, we'll...
Honorable Speaker, the VC.
Yes.
The Vice Chancellor was to respond to the issue of free university education.
Yes, Vice Chancellor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Laikipia, you say?
Thank you. My name is Joseph Rotich, the Vice Chancellor, Laikipia University. Honorable Speaker and honorable members, the matter of whether the university education should be free, I report or I respond that this will be a policy issue which this Parliament and the government needs to decide and make a decision on it. And I think with all the monies from CDF, Women Rep, and all the other supports which go to students, if they can be consolidated, then the university and colleges, including TVET, can be made free. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, now let's take another round. Member for Gichugu, then followed by Rachel Nyamai, followed by Rindikiri, followed by Karole Omondi, followed by Mama Pareyos. Wewe umeuliza tayari? You can't have a second bite. Followed by Ngoja.
Followed by Joro.
Followed by Maclap.
Speaker, Uton is out.
Maclap.
Speaker is advanced.
And then member for Aldai. Okay, let's start with us. Kishugu, one question.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Kishumu.
I think matters of education are matters of national importance, and that is why this particular issue of education was left at the national level.
No preambles, just ask the question.
Yes. There's what we call in government collective responsibility. This is just one department under the ministry. Why is the department, which is headed by the PS before the House today, not involving the other departments? The other department under the ministry is devolved at the constituency level, and they can be able to use that channel for communication through the CS. And also, this House is also represented by members of Parliament in 290 constituencies. Why are they not using the available channels that even as members of Parliament use when we are also giving bursaries? I think...
Order, Wamshomba. Take your seat, Mama. Okay, you will not be harassed when I'm here.
Mr. Speaker.
Take your seat. Order, honorable members. You will not be harassed. Take your seat. Take your seat.